Hi, everybody. My name is Miss Erin, and today we are going to learn about Japanese pop art and Yayoi Kusama and make one of her polka dot pumpkins. But the first thing I'm going to say is that I love questions, but through the Zoom format, I would hope that we could maybe keep questions in the chat so that we can get through kind of like the art history portion uninterrupted so we can get to the art part pretty quickly. All right. And I will be looking at y'all's faces. So if you have a burning question and you need to talk to me, you can also just like wave at me. So to get started, y'all, I'm not very good. This is my first like real Zoom presentation, so please bear with me. But we're gonna talk about Japanese pop art and Yayoi Kusama. And here's a picture of her in one of her installation art rooms with a big pumpkin sculpture. So we're talking about Japanese pop art, but I think that it's important to understand what pop art is first, right? In general, right? Before we talk about specific to Japanese culture, that pop art, we're gonna watch this video done by the Tate Modern, and it's like specifically for kids, and we'll learn a little bit about pop art real quick.
Hi, I'm Ellie, and these are 4 of my favourite things. Bananas, my red coat, tomato soup, and comic books. But what do they all have in common? 2 little words. Pop art is more than an art movement. It's a lifestyle, a craze, a way of looking at the world. But what is pop art? Pop is young, bold, and fun. This is life in the 40s. It's a bit grey. In the 50s, people wanted plastic and glamour. They wanted to have a good time. Buy more, spend more. Don't just watch TV, be on TV. Now you can listen to the Beatles and Elvis, watch cartoons, eat popcorn, drive cars, and become famous. Now it was pop art, all about culture. After all, pop art was popular art for all. But who were the pop artists? Richard Hamilton, this guy, said pop art was low cost, young, witty, glamorous, and mass-produced. Hamilton made collages using imagery he found in glossy magazines. Lifting images from films and advertising was completely bonkers at the time. This is one of the famous Marilyn portraits by Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol, this guy, see, a cool guy. For Andy, art was a project, the same as a production line of Coca-Cola bottles or camel soup. He liked to use bright colours and silk screening techniques to produce art on a huge scale. Pretty clever, I'd say. Pop art is revolutionary! Pop artists were competitive. Who could you watch first? Warhol had his advertising. Lichtenstein had his comic books. Palazzi had his collage. And Minnie Mouse. Wait, let's go back to Lichtenstein. He used Band-Aid dots to make his artwork look like comics, like the ones you get in newspapers. Female artists were also rocking the pop art trend. This is The Only Blonde in the World by English painter Pauline Vogti. Pauline added fun into her art and was a bit of a rebel. Girl power, Pauline. Pop art came out of the gallery too.
So I'm gonna stop it there because we just talked about Roy Lichtenstein, who did, he used polka dots and he took a lot of his inspiration from comic books. And that's gonna be very similar to what happens in Japan in the pop art scene. And we're also gonna be talking about Yayoi Kusama, who is like one of the most famous female pop artists. So I think that that's really important to stop on that note. So what we learned from the video is that pop art is popular art, right? Using everyday imagery. It's a revolt against what we would say is high art. So the art that's older and more fleshed out, using oil paints and things like that. This really focused on the everyday, right? And it's really for visual entertainment, loud colors, shapes, things that everyone would be drawn to. Now we're going to talk about pop art in Japan. So pop art in Japan had two major influences. We have the manga and anime art from their TV and their kind of their comic books, right? So they're using popular culture from animation and from their comic books and really are influenced by that. And then also from the previous century, you have Japanese woodblock art prints. So we have both of those things, the manga and anime on the left, and some examples of the Japanese woodblock art from the 19th century. What you'll notice about both of these things is that there's lots of color, and if you see, woodblock prints are actually really flat, right? There's not a lot of depth to them. They have very flat colors, and that is going to come up again when we talk about the forefront runners in Japanese pop art. So these are a couple of my favorite Japanese pop artists. There's on the left, we have Yoshitomo Nara. In the center, Yayoi Kusama, our kind of star today. And then on the right, Takashi Murakami. Takashi Murakami coined the term super flat as far as pop art in Japan. And his artwork, if you can see, he uses just flat colors in almost like a cartoony way. Yoshitomo Nara on the left does these funny, he has like funny characters. Oftentimes they're like young children and animals. And he has kind of like a comic book style, but they're big and blown up and painted onto big canvases. Our star of the day, Yayoi Kusama, is a little bit more diverse. She does a lot of performance art, installation art, which are big rooms filled with different things, paintings, drawings, sculptures. She's kind of dipped her toes in everything. Oh, and then I also wanted to tell you guys, at the beginning of quarantine, I did a recreation of a famous art piece, like that was popular, and I actually picked a painting by Yoshitomo Nara, a pop artist that we're looking at, and did my photo recreation. I thought I'd just sneak that in there because I thought it was funny. So we're gonna talk a little bit about Yayoi Kusama. She was born on March 22nd, 1929 in Matsumoto, Japan. Her family owned a plant nursery and seed farm. She started creating artworks and her obsession with dots from the age of 10. And then she'll say that it's because of being around so many seeds, right? If her family had all of these like very natural looking circle shapes, right? Seeds are circles. So she said that that really influenced her kind of obsession with dots and circles. She also had hallucinations or like dreams of the dots and flowers, which would inform her artwork and her trademark, her polka dots. Kusama went to the Kyoto School of Arts and Crafts, where she was taught a traditional Japanese style of painting, but was more inspired by American abstract expressionism. She moved to New York City in 1958 and was a part of the New York art scene through the 60s, especially the New York pop art movement, which we kind of learned a little bit about in the video. In 1973, she moved back to Japan, and in 1977, she checked herself into a mental health facility and has been living there by choice ever since. So she lives at a mental health facility there and makes art, and that's all she does. It's great. And she is still alive. All right. This is her with some recent works in 2016. And you can see she not only uses dots, she uses many different kind of natural shapes, right? Like amoebas and different types of maybe like cell structures. They could be anything you kind of want them to be. But you can see that she definitely does use a lot of circle and oval shapes. And she even likes to dress in polka dots, which I think is great. And I've worn my polka dot sweater today for that. Here she is again, and I'm just gonna show you a lot of pictures of her in her studio. She's awesome. She has a kind of presence about her. She almost feels like she's a part of the artwork, right? This is her in one of her installation pieces. This one glows and has mirrors, very cool. We're gonna watch one more video about her work. And this is a little bit more about one of her obliteration rooms, as she calls it, which is a type of installation artwork where you can enter the artwork and maybe in this one even be a part of it. So we'll watch a little bit of this video. Oops.
At the start of the project, this room was completely white. White ceiling, white floor, white walls, white furniture. People come in, they are given a sheet of coloured stickers in different sizes, which have been produced especially for the project and in accordance with the artist's specifications. Her choice of colour, her choice of finish, and her choice of size. And then everybody is invited to place the stickers anywhere they like in the room, according to any pattern, any idea they have, anything they like, they can do with the stickers. Kusama is best known for her brilliantly coloured dotted surfaces, her installations with blow-ups and her walls covered in brilliant spots. And in her biography, she talks about experiences really of a very young child, almost sort of hallucinogenic experiences, where her vision of landscape and people was clouded by spots. And in her very, very first mature works of art, just after finishing art school in Kyoto, the spot emerges as a pattern in her work. And from that period of time, she comes back to the spot with great regularity. And by the end of the 60s, she's actually painting the landscape, she's painting spots on people's bodies, onto animals, and the spot becomes a very regular motif throughout her work. It's her way of kind of covering the surface. It's a reflection of her vision, but it's also a way of embracing the whole world in a kind of overall pattern. And the interesting thing about this work in particular is that where she's moved from creating an environment of spots that we passively appreciate or enjoy or walk through, she's now moved on to actually involving the audience in the creation of this dotted, spotted interior.
So I just wanted to show that one because I think it's really important to also, we're gonna focus on the pumpkin coming up, but I think it's important to also think about all the different ways she became obsessed with dots, and then she just like really went for it, right? And she created this interactive piece where you get to come in and make the art with her, which I think is really, really cool. Okay, so now we are going to, hi everyone, we're going to start with a warm-up. So what you will need is some colors, anything like that, and your first piece of paper, okay? And what I want you to do is just make a drawing of dots, okay? Dots and circles in any way that you want. I'm gonna do it alongside you guys. I have some papers taped to the wall here, and they can be colored in, they can be big, they can be small, they can be just open, however you want. And you're just gonna fill the page. We're gonna take about 5 minutes just to fill the page with dots. Any colors, any size, whatever you want. They can overlap. They can be colored in. Just gonna draw a bunch of dots and practice drawing your dots, right? How does your hand move? Can you make a perfect circle? Do you want it to be a perfect circle? It could be that you don't want it to be a perfect circle. Maybe you want more of like an oval dot, okay? And think about what in the world is made of dots or has a dot pattern on it. Animals, things that are circular. We thought about how Yayoi Kusama had been influenced by the fact that her parents owned a seed farm, right? The seeds are kind of circular, right? And I think that it's important to think about what in the world maybe your circle drawing is starting to look like. I feel like mine may look like bubbles. If you have, I have markers. I also have colored pencils. Just use one type of art material, right? You can use whatever drawing materials kind of you have wearing my dots. Okay, we're gonna take just a couple more minutes on our warm-up dot drawing. So lay in your last few dots. Okay. Now, I would like to see if you would like to share something about your dots, or just hold it up to the screen so everyone can maybe see it. I'll put my screen a little bit closer. Let's see. This is the one that I created, right? And I really think that it came out, personally, I think that I was thinking of when you blow bubbles and you play with bubbles and they kind of shimmer in the light and have all different colors. That's kind of what I was thinking. And then they overlap and they create new colors. If you want, you can share. Just let me know and unmute yourself. Does anyone want to share? Anyone? Yay! I see this one. Very nice. Cool, y'all. Thank you for sharing. Wow, they look really good. I love how you guys weren't afraid of color. Very nice. Very nice. And overlapping. Thank you. All right. So we're going to get back in to our PowerPoint. There we go. And I have a quote here from Yayoi Kusama about her pumpkins, because she actually has drawn and created so many different pumpkin sculptures, paintings, installations, all different types. So she says, I would confront the spirit of the pumpkin, forgetting everything else and concentrating my mind entirely on the form before me. So she really just meditates on the shape and form of the thing that she is going to portray. Now we're gonna just look at a bunch of different ways that she has made pumpkins. Here we have 3 different pumpkins by her, made in almost like a monochrome way with black, right? I want you guys to really think about these different pieces and think about which one, as we go through, jumps out at you, so that when we make our pumpkins, you can think about that one. So this one, she uses only 2 colors in each of the pumpkins. And we can notice also that she does this fun thing with the polka dots, where on the outer edge, where the pumpkin would maybe come closest to you, there are bigger dots. And then they descend in size until they're almost, you can't even see them anymore, right? That's interesting because it creates depth, right? It makes the pumpkin look a little bit 3D. In the background, she's done almost like a triangle motif, and the pumpkin is just floating there in the triangle motif. This one is really cool because it's a sculpture, right? And it's almost the same pumpkin as the yellow one that we saw before, but it functions differently because it's out in the world, right? It's just placed on this dock, you know, overlooking the ocean. Kind of cool. And it's really shiny, right? She picked that choice of having it so that the light hits it and it's pretty shiny and reflective. Here's one that's a little bit different, right? The polka dots are pretty much similar size and they're randomly placed on all the different places. And it looks like she almost did it with a mosaic bunches of little tiles that she placed on the outside of this. This one is done, it looks like it's done in like a metal finish, and it doesn't have the same color that we've seen in the other ones. But I think that it's still really cool because the circles are so perfect that it still contrasts with the natural world around it, right? Everything in the background, the tree, they're all very not perfect, right? Irregular. Whereas the pumpkin has these regular shapes of circles. In this one, it's almost like you get to be a part of the pumpkin because there's big circular mirrors and dots where you get to see yourself with the pumpkin, which is really kind of cool, isn't it? Now, this one is one of her really famous pumpkin installations. So you see she's using the mirrors to make the pumpkins look almost infinite, right? They just keep going back further and further into the space. And then she has all the pumpkins kind of glowing from within. So it's really about reflection and seeing and this kind of infinite space filled with pumpkins. How funny. But I also would say maybe it's like a pumpkin patch. When you go to a pumpkin patch, there are pumpkins that kind of look like they're going on forever, right? And how she's mirroring that is kind of really cool. I really like this pumpkin painting because it's going to be similar to what we're drawing, hopefully. But she's used glitter, which I love, right? And she created this kind of funky border that has polka dots also. And then she's also used her little irregular triangle motif as a background. So she kind of did this one a little bit different. And I think that that's really interesting as well. And sparkles, right? Glitter, in a way, is little circles, is it not? So maybe she's saying something with that as well. Now this one's kind of strange, right? The pumpkin's almost like coming undone at the bottom, but that's kind of really cool. And I think the colors in this one are really kind of striking, right? We have almost like a rainbowy looking pumpkin. So I think that's it. And now we are going to create our own together. Hold on one second. Oops, that's for the end. Sorry, y'all. Aha, here we go. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna create our own pumpkin. I have one that I kind of started right here to give you an idea of what you might be making. Now mine was made really quickly and I didn't have a chance to color it all in, but hopefully. To begin our pumpkins, I want you guys to think about what we just saw, right? And think about which pumpkin you really liked and maybe how you're gonna create your version of a Yayoi Kusama pumpkin. Now, did you like the ones that had just a couple of colors? Did you like the ones that had a bunch of pumpkins in one space? Did you like the kind of sculpture in nature? Because you could draw a natural background to show that. What I'm gonna do is I really liked the kind of glitter pumpkin that we saw, and I liked the one that at the end, the like rainbowy one, because I love colors, right? So I want you to get your second piece of paper out and get some different colors going. You can draw this in pencil first if you would like, because I know that sometimes people mess up and they want to erase and stuff. I'm just gonna go for it with marker because you can see it better on here, okay? What I like to do, and I've drawn a couple of these, is, give me one second, push this chair out of the way. So what I kind of like to do is I like to start with the stem at the top, So I'm gonna start with the stem. Now I'm like, which color should I use? Okay, I am gonna use this blue color. So what I do is I start and I draw a little stem, okay? And it's almost like a little wonky looking, what is it? Rectangle, okay? So I'll draw one again. Let's see, over here. I'm just gonna flip this over. So a wonky little stem is going to be like a rectangle, right? Almost like a rectangle. And then I just put a little thing on the top so that it has a 3D kind of look to it, okay? So I did that one. Everybody get their stem. Now your stem can also be polka dotted if you want. She definitely polka dotted hers, okay? And I wanna bring you guys closer so I don't have to lift it up, okay? And then what I do is I take another color. You can use the same color if you want. And from this stem, I draw a big oval. And now you're thinking, that's a weird looking pumpkin, right? It's too skinny. Trust me, okay? So from your oval, you're gonna draw another one like this, okay? And then on the other side, you're gonna draw another one. And you can keep adding these little half oval things to each side until your pumpkin is as big as you want it to be. Okay, I made a really fat pumpkin this time, huh? It's really wide, okay? But you just keep adding, so you make that original oval, and then you can just keep adding kind of like these little half ovals to give it those different ridges. Like Yayoi Kusama has very distinct ridges that she does, right? From here, now, you can decide what kind of the background is going to look like, right? Think to yourself, do you want the pumpkin sitting on a table? If so, you can draw a little line here, okay? If you want it to be floating kind of in space, we can just draw a pattern in the background. So in this one, I drew a little line here because I wanted it to be sitting on a table. And I did two different patterns, right? Top and bottom. So my table has a little wonky triangle pattern, and my top has big bubble looking circles, okay? But if you want the background, if you want it to be on the beach, your pumpkin's on the beach, you're welcome to draw a beach background. I am going to do another table pumpkin and draw my line in here. Now, what about the polka dots, right? Oh my goodness, you can't forget about the polka dots. So there's going to be a couple different ways that you can do it. You can do polka dots all over this pumpkin like we saw with the mosaic pumpkin, right? The mosaic pumpkin had big dots and slightly, they were pretty much all the same size, right? And they were just scattered all around. You can do that, sure. Or you can do kind of like her more popular pumpkin, which had the bigger dots closer to you and then smaller dots on the edges, right? I'm gonna do that one, but if you want all over dots, you can definitely do all over dots. Now, you can also decide if you want it to be more like a circle or if you want to color yours in, okay? So I'm gonna do just circles because I don't have a lot of time. I'm gonna start with my bigger circles right down that middle part of my pumpkin, okay? See, I have some circles right down the middle part of my pumpkin. And the ones, I'm gonna do another row of circles that are just a bit smaller. Okay. And then on the other side, I'm going to do some smaller dots as well. So now I'll bring it up a little closer so we can see really close. So now I have big dots down the center of my pumpkin, and then on either side, I have slightly smaller dots. Cool. Then you're even gonna go even tinier, okay? And you're gonna make even tinier dots on either side, tiny, tiny, until they almost disappear. All the way to the edge, okay? So I'll show you that close up again. Background on mine, and dots all the way down the center that are larger. And then on either side, I've made the dots descend in size, okay? Now, you're just gonna repeat that on each little section of your pumpkin. Bigger dots. Made big dots. Now I'm gonna do slightly smaller on either side, all the way down. So you just keep adding dots however you think they should be. You can do this technique where we descend the dots or not, but I just want you to keep kind of making your polka dot pumpkin. You can color in your circles. Miss Erin is not right now because I want to show you guys how to get them looking kind of. Okay, I'm gonna do my last one over here and then I'm gonna show you guys it close up again. And I even will just make a little polka dot by just pushing my marker onto the paper, right? So that's the tiniest one is the little pinprick of me pushing my marker on there. Okay. Let's see. I'll keep adding where I think I need them. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys once more it close up. So that's what mine looks like so far. I've started to add the dots down the center of each part, and then I've added littler dots on either side of that one. And I've even done little tiny pinpricks of my marker to do the final smallest dot on my pumpkin's edges. Now we've talked about, I'm gonna let you guys finish up on the dots. And while you do that, I'm gonna talk about the background. So we remember the kind of, there's dot motifs, and then there's also the kind of wonky triangle motif that she does that I kind of did in this one right here, right? This like wonky triangle motif. You can either do that, or you can do some sort of polka dots, or you can do something crazy, something different. I know that in one of her pieces, she did a kind of fun border. So maybe I'll do that for mine. A fun border, kind of like a frame, right? And she did it like, kind of like it almost looked like a little, something like that, right? Ooh, fun. So I just added that. And I'm gonna add, I think, polka dots to the edge like she did. So I've done, if you want to look at what I've done so far, I've done a border and some polka dots. You don't have to do that. That's just an idea. You can also do it like my other one here too, if you'd like. And let's see, I think I'm gonna change colors and do something different at the bottom. I am going to do the kind of, I really do like the wonky triangle pattern, so I'm gonna do that for my bottom part here. And that's, I just kind of make triangles kind of however I want and kind of just let it go, if you can see. So I'll let you guys see what I've done so far with the triangles. You can kind of just fill in the space with triangles if you want. You can also use big polka dots or something else. If you like stripes, even though she doesn't have a lot of stripes in her artwork, but you like stripes, go ahead and do stripes. Why not? Or if you want your pumpkin to be at the beach, you can totally let your pumpkin be at the beach. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? That's why all of hers are slightly irregular. So it's like really not, you don't have to be a perfectionist with it, although you can be, but in the natural world, things aren't always so perfect, which is why I think she contrasts the kind of perfect circle with kind of a more organic shape like the pumpkin, or these kind of more organic looking triangles, okay? And then my last thing I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna pick a different color and do more triangles. So I want you guys to get to a point where you feel like you're getting finished. You can always finish it later, but I want to have a moment where we can at least look at what we have so far. And then I have one more video that actually shows Yayoi Kusama speaking about some of her work as well, to kind of close it out. Okay, so just finish up in the next couple minutes with what you're doing right now. It does not have to be finished. You can always finish it later. Like I'm probably going to color in my polka dots later because I think that that might look nice. But if you have the outline, you can always add more later. So I'll just show you guys again. This is the one that I've completed so far. I thought though that I might fill in my pink polka dots on my pumpkin. So while you guys are finishing up, I'm gonna start doing that. Take another 2 minutes or so to kind of get your outline of your pumpkin, finish the kind of idea that you had. Oh yes, I like my polka dots colored in way better. And something that I might do later is actually color in my pumpkin, right? Like, I don't need to finish it right now, but now I have the drawing for it, right? I'm gonna fill in all of my circles later, and I might color in my pumpkin the color that I outlined it in, which was this like green color. And if you wanted to, you could color in your background. You know, we didn't have a whole bunch of time here, but now you have the beginnings of a really beautiful art project that you can kind of keep adding to. I think that these would look great, you know, when you have them all the way colored in. All right, one more minute, and then we're gonna kind of share and then watch a video. Okay, I hope that you guys got to a good stopping point. I'm gonna show you what I have so far. To kind of color in around the dots that I've already made, maybe even color in some of the background spaces, right? But this is like the beginning of a project, right? And I hope that you guys all got to the beginning of your project. And I'd love for you guys to hold up any of your work that you'd like to share. Wow, I love those colors. Oh, these are great. These are awesome. Very nice. Very, very cool. I love it. Very cool. I think that y'all really got the kind of poppy color kind of thing down as well, right? All right, so does anyone have any questions or comments or anything like that so far? Great, well, we're gonna wrap it up with a video of Yayoi Kusama. And let me see. Let's see. Here we go. And it's subtitled. So if you can't read it, that's okay. It's kind of really lovely though to hear her speak in Japanese, even though we can't really read it, and kind of see her in her own artwork spaces. And what this video is about is her kind of using art to kind of pursue a message of peace to the world, okay?
去ってしまう錯覚の扉打ち破る花のお題の中今は果てなく天国への階段優しさに触れ果ててしまう読んでいるきっと空の青さすべて幻私は 10歳の頃から芸術家になるということを非常に強く考え、寝ても覚めても絵ばかり描いておりました。多くの不幸な方々、そして平和に恵まれない方々、そしてまた美しい芸術の華やいだ素晴らしい世界をお見せしたいということを考えると、私は眠れない夜があります。これから皆さんと一緒になって世界の新しい人生と、それから素晴らしい平和と愛の世界を築き上げていきたいと思い、そしてこのような席にお集まりいただきました。私は目というものは非常に大切なものであり、また造形的に非常に、素晴らしいと思っております。そして私の頭も、それから足も、それから目も、すべてこれは私の生きている証拠でありますが、特に目については私は非常に、素晴らしい世界だと思っております。なぜならそれは平和とか愛とかそういったものを見分ける一つの大きな入り口に立っているような気がするからです。今そういったものを打ち上げた全てを今自分の人生の晩年に至ったという観念に考えて、全ての芸術を最終的に集め、そして考えて、私の創造性、人間としての最大の創造性を生かしてこのような新しい世界を築きましたが、この作品よりももっと新しい世界を毎日作っております。そしてまた朝、早く起きて、夜は、遅くまで、夜の3時頃まで起きてて、そして死に物狂いで自分は今戦っております。どうぞ皆さん、人々にこの私の心の願いというのをお伝えくだされば嬉しいと思っています。その心の伝えと、それは人類に対する最大の愛と、それから宇宙に対する経路念、そういったものを全てに対して皆さん、どうぞ私以上に素晴らしいと感じていただければ、本当に私は今日ここへ東京から来た甲斐があると思っています。皆さんお目にかかれて本当にありがとうございました。
So I thought that that's a really lovely video to close it out with her speaking about kind of her message in her later life about spreading peace and using this motif of the eye and the circle to kind of like come full circle with her work. So if anyone has any questions or anything to discuss or anything they'd like to share, we have a couple minutes. If not, we can continue working on our pieces for another couple of minutes.